All right, thanks again for joining us on another episode of the True Hot Seat. Today's guest is Heather Siracusa. Heather, could you give us a little bit of insight about your daily life and what you do?
It's running. My daily life consists of handling clients, agents, dealing with any problems that might arise, lots of phone calls, and lots of visiting offices.
And what kind of problems are you guys seeing nowadays within this market?
So one of the common ones is the old loan mod deals. So the loan mods that were done and the people didn't realize what they were kind of signing at the time, and now ending up with, 10, 20, 15, different amounts on the back end of their loan. And so when the payoffs come in and then we give them an estimate, it's, $20,000 short. So yeah. So when we start to dig, we find out why. And it's, a lot of it's the loan modification. So that's one of the big things that we've been seeing lately.
What about wire fraud? I've heard that's actually kind of being pretty big right now.
It is pretty big. However, we got ahead of it really early in the game because I go to a lot of the conferences and the meetings, and we kind of heard about it, 4 or 5 years ago when it started really happening. And what I decided to do, and I talked to the other girls in the office, and we decided that every time a seller proceed form goes out, it's clear instruction. You cannot change it unless you physically walk into our office and change it, or you get a check. That's it. So it's notarized, so it's done in person. We then verify it again by phone. We will not take any sort of instruction to send money somewhere else via email. Just does not happen. And we just don't allow changes without somebody walking in our office, showing us some ID and saying, hey, I'd like to wire it to a different account.
Heather, what recommendations do you give a realtor on the first issue, like regarding the loan modifications? Like, how can they prepare themselves so that the deal doesn't fall apart at the end?
It's one of those things where you can order demands ahead of time, because a lot of agents ask for estimated closing statements ahead of time. We get a lot of those. We have a lot of agents that do that. If the seller gives us the information, we can order that demand ahead of time to see it. But it's a question like you asked, like, hey, did you ever have a loan modification? Because not 100% of the time were they recorded on the property, like re-recorded as a loan mod. So an agent would have no way of knowing unless a seller openly told them.
Awesome. And you own your company, right?
Yes.
Okay. What type of deals have you encountered? So, like, what do you know how to close? Like an assignment deal, a bulk or REO, a probate transaction. What kind of experience do you have?
We do almost everything. I don't do bulk. A lot of people, send those to other companies. It's a different animal. I've done a ton of probate. I've closed hundreds over the years, and not a lot of escrow officers have done that. We do manufactured home. We do manufactured homes in parks. We do REOs. We do short sales and investor. We do assignments. I mean, we do a lot.
Why escrow? Why did you choose that as a profession?
Oh, that's funny. That's a funny story. So my mom was a real estate agent started in '89, and she just switched careers in her 40s. Like, all of a sudden she just up and decided to change careers. So I kind of grew up in a real estate office at that point. So I think I was roughly 13 or so, 12, somewhere around there. And all I ever saw was the escrow girls constantly working. I just liked what they do. I liked paperwork. As funny as that may sound, I like troubleshooting. And I didn't want to work on purely commission. For me, I never wanted, I don't know why, I just never wanted to do that. So at 17, I got in an escrow office and I haven't left.
Awesome. Heather, what have you seen in the last 45 days? Have a lot of regular traditional transactions just fallen out of escrow? Can you...
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot of, it seems like a lot of buyers having like that remorse too soon, where all of a sudden they're like, I don't know if I want to buy it all right now. Or I might be able to find a better deal where people are trying to renegotiate towards the end of the transaction, which is a strange thing to me. And I have seen a lot of cycles. I mean, I've seen a lot of cycles, but we have had a lot of cancellations in the last 6 months that we weren't seeing before. So I think all this, everybody's saying the market's going to crash, the bubble's going to burst. They start to freak out, and then they take it to heart because they don't understand what's happening. And they just back out and decide to wait. And then they end up coming in at a higher priced home anyways. 6 months later, the price is even higher. So, I don't know. It's just a lot of jittery kind of buyers.
So these guys are dropping out before like all contingencies are removed and all that?
Well, I've even seen a couple cases where they didn't remove contingencies on time and nobody really pushed the issue. So the agent comes back and says, oh, we're canceling it. It's like the day we were supposed to close and we didn't get contingencies released. So that's another, step that's kind of being missed on the agent's part too.
Yeah, I would
And
think
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and time being lost, by you and your staff, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's, we've had ones that were all the way down to closing and people just changed their minds. It's a strange thing. The last 6 months, we've seen a lot of that.
Have you seen now like a upswing, like, now more openings in the last, 2 weeks?
I would say in the week. The rain really held it was a strange thing. It was like nobody wanted to go in the rain. They were going to melt. Like we were closing all these deals, but nobody, like not too much was opening. So the last week it's picked up, it's funny. It's like, we live in California. We don't go off the weather. So it's strange to watch this happen.
Yeah. It's either when it rains, it's either crazy or dead. It's always been like that. It's funny.
Yeah. There's no steady, and
Heather, what, based on what you're seeing, how the market is treating, real estate agents, what are you seeing? Are you seeing new realtors come onto the market, or are you now just seeing like the old school, the veterans that have always been in the game?
Veterans for me. Those are the ones that I've seen. I have a couple friends that have even hit me up recently. Oh, I want to get my license. But I don't see them until they start getting deals in the pipelines. Because you have to get to escrow to actually, get to the part where I see from the start to finish as far as getting their license.
And I know that you contact, like you do your follow-ups with your past clients, like we all do. Are you noticing that a lot of them are no longer in the business?
There are some, the ones that didn't do well to begin with, to be honest. The ones that are like the veterans, they're just there's a slow change with the market. They have been slow to change because it's not an REO market. It's not a short sale market. It's just kind of a weird adjustment. And so they've been a little bit slower to the change. Some of the veterans have been. So they're a little slowed down, but I'm starting to see them getting listings. I'm starting to see their marketing on Facebook and Instagram. So they're starting to pick it back up. I think it took them a minute to catch on to what was happening.
And when you do your marketing, how do you normally, do you go office to office, or are you using social media platforms?
I'm doing both. I've been a little bit better on social media. I had a talk with a girlfriend who works for an NHD company, and she was kind of like, get on your Facebook, which literally I think you could see where it was like 6 months I didn't post a thing because I was so busy working. How am I going to sit on Facebook and like people's photos? You know what I mean? So it's really hard. Or do a video, or just interact on Facebook. We were working. So that, going to some of the breakfast meetings at Ivar, some of the mixers, and the mixers are fun. I've actually met some pretty cool people, some pretty cool agents who are now using us, and made friends with some of them, so it's a cool experience getting to meet new people. I love it,
So it's always been pretty much traditional for you.
Yeah.
Like belly to belly.
Yeah.
Office.
Hitting the pavement, basically. It's the same with agents. It's like some don't door knock, but some have always door knocked and they still get business out of it. So it's kind of like what works. If it didn't work at all, I wouldn't be doing it,
Awesome.
And when you go to these offices, as I think Jesse was going to ask you earlier, how is the occupancy nowadays in these offices?
So A lot of them, it's really weird because they're just locked, like locked and nobody's in there. You have some though that you walk in and you feel people in there. People are walking around. Copiers are being ran. It's just, I think, the culture of each individual office. But a lot of them are more working from home. But I do know a lot of agents that cannot work from home. You know, they don't feel like they get anything done. They start washing dishes or cleaning the pool, and then the next thing you know, their day's over.
That's how I used to feel. I used to think that same way. I'm like, I don't want to work from home. I'm like, it'll make me lazy. So, but sometimes for some people it works. Others, not so much.
I know that you're telling me that you do the social marketing, you go to events. It sounds like, are you single, no kids?
I wish.
I was gonna say, you trying to hook her up on a Dateline or something?
Hey, it's the hot seat. I don't know. Come on, watch me get in trouble later.
He doesn't have social media. I'm totally good. So I have a 19-year-old in college in South Carolina playing softball, and I have another daughter, 10 years old. She's actually homeschooled, so I'm quite a busy woman, and my husband works a ton of hours, so he doesn't really interfere with my work schedule.
Okay, so when it comes down to your business, I mean, it is all dialed in, ready for whatever deal comes to the table.
Absolutely, it's dialed in even to a Saturday night. If somebody calls any of our girls or emails, we're on it. So it is as dialed in as I could get it.
If there could be something that you could do to better your business, or not better your business, but in the last 3 or 4 months, some opportunity you missed out on, what do you think that opportunity could have been?
I don't know, because I haven't been presented with anything that I felt like I missed out on. I mean, a lot of people have come to me with different opportunities and suggestions, and I feel like so far I've made the best decisions. I don't see anything that I missed out on. I think sometimes when some people have ideas, it could be a big waste of time. And that is one thing I don't like to do, is waste my time. It's extremely valuable,
What's your approach on taking risks, on improving your business?
On improving my business, I take risks. As far as files and escrows are concerned, I don't like to take risks. So I'm very different on that aspect. So I'll go out, we started doing these mixers that some of the other brokers were having, who are wonderful brokers that I've known since I was a kid. And I've met some really cool people. At first I thought, maybe I'm going to waste some time, but it actually ended up not being a waste of time. We were there till 11 o'clock at night, and the mixer was supposed to end at 8. So I've met some really cool people, and I've learned a lot, and I've gained clients from it.
So networking works.
Yeah, networking works, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially in person.
Is there a big difference between a broker-owned escrow and an independent escrow? You're independent, right?
Right. I'm independent. There's a huge difference. So say I have a friend who wants to get an escrow that happens to be a convicted felon that might have stolen some money from a bank they worked at. If I was a broker-owned escrow, I could hire him to handle your money. And if DBO, we all go through background checks, credit checks. You would be amazed at the stuff I had to go through, even though I had been an escrow for 20 plus years, to open my doors.
So it's a pretty strenuous process.
Yeah.
It's
It's not fun. Like they write every old employer and ask, like, if you've ever been let go, or did you ever do anything that was kind of iffy or anything like that. And it's like, that's open for anybody. I mean, I can't go against them if they say I did something wrong. It's kind of like an honest answer to the Secretary of State, so they can't lie.
So it would be like an extra peace of mind or security for someone's client to not commingle in that type of a transaction with an in-house?
Yeah, I've seen situations, and I get phone calls all the time with people. As a matter of fact, recently I got one where an agent had a buy side, and she's one of my agents, and said, hey, I have this deal. We canceled. It was within a week, and the escrow company wanted to charge her a cancellation fee. And I'm like, well, that's kind of strange. 7 days in, who would do that? What did they do for you that they're trying to charge you? She said nothing. And they were within contingency period. So when we got down to it, she sent me the escrow instructions. I kind of looked them over. It was a broker-owned escrow, of course. And basically, they were just looking out for themselves. They just wanted to collect an escrow fee because they felt like they had worked on the file. And, you as the agent, you don't get a cancellation fee if the buyer cancels. That's not how it works. So I was taken back by it. I believe she fought them. I know she was fighting them on it. I'm not sure if she won or whatever, but it's kind of hard when they're holding your money to say, you have to give me my money back unless you go to court. And that's another expense. So, DBO, we tread a lot lighter as far as things like that are concerned. We're not going to hold people's money just because we feel like it. We get cancellation, and unless we did something crazy or paid for something up front, you're pretty much going to get all your money back. That's just how it works.
Okay.
Awesome. And what about collecting paperwork up front, when you educate, agents, such as HOAs, finding out all that kind of information?
We try to get ahead of that as early as possible. We ask the agents, of course, we send it out in the escrow instructions for the sellers as well. Our agents that we deal with are so good about answering us when we ask those questions. If we got a wrong phone number or wrong information, they're right on it with responding back. So I'm pretty lucky, and so are the girls, when it comes to that, because the agents that I've had the pleasure of working with since I've opened my doors are just so on it. It's amazing.
Heather, tell me one thing that you love about your business, the way that you do business.
I love the people I work with. I mean, honestly, it's different because I'm DBO. I'm not, broker and escrow. I don't have to do Joe Schmo, who I believe is kind of doing some shady stuff, and that happens. It's which agents are shady and which ones aren't. You just know. And I've had the pleasure of working with some really good, educated agents, and that's awesome.
I know I follow you on Facebook, and I know that you have a good relationship with I believe Robert Simulin.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that he was telling me about a situation where he had an older man come into your office. That it was like a foreclosure sale that he helped them out and closed out with. That he had lost his sister and a dog. Do you remember that story?
Oh, absolutely. It's sad to hear. I mean, it was a sad story. He was a good man. And I think he was just done with life, and he was losing his house. And I think I got that deal a Thursday, and he was supposed to lose his house on the Monday. And he had some equity, and he was basically, I don't know where he was going to live at that point. He had no family anymore. I think everybody was deceased. So yeah, I didn't sleep for 4 days over that deal because I got the sale postponed and finally got the demand in and we got it closed. But I didn't sleep over the entire weekend because I was so scared that even though this bank told me, yeah, we're going to, postpone the sale until Tuesday, I felt like, what if they're lying? What if something happens? What if they accidentally sell it? I just felt like, he was really going to give up on everything if that happened,
What did and I know that I just heard your voice crack, and I believe your eyes just watered up.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that? What did that man tell you he was going to do?
He just said he was giving up, and I don't know what that meant for him, but I know as an adult human being what that would mean for me.
Yeah. No, and I'll touch a little bit on that story just to get the camera off of Heather. Robert went out and looked at a foreclosure property. The guy slammed his doors on his fingers, and Robert was able to say something, make an impact. The guy opened the door. Come to find out, he was literally going to injure himself. He had a shotgun right there on the floor. He had the shells, and it was just so weird that it all depends on the team that you're working with. And I remember Robert giving me a phone call, and one of the things that I said, hey, get on this guy, stay on them. contact Heather, and the miracle that you were able to pull off on that transaction. It's just amazing. So thank you for not giving up on that, man, like everyone else had.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. From what I heard is there was actually a positive spin to that, right, Heather?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it took about a month or two for the gentleman to find a property. He wanted to find a mobile home in Victorville, as a matter of fact. And it took a while to find a mobile home park that would take him because he had been in a foreclosure, and they had to approve him. So on the flip side, the agent got the listing agent to use us since we did manufactured homes. And so we got to do the other side of the transaction where he actually got a new home that he paid for cash with his equity from the previous deal.
Wow. So now not only did you like help him pretty much with his life, but you got him back on track.
Yes, absolutely. I haven't heard from him. I think it's been a couple months now. But I'm sure, I mean, he's got a house paid for at this point. It's a manufactured home. He just wants to live and be happy.
That's amazing. You know what I would suggest? If I was a marketer, I would suggest getting a video testimonial on that one. Just saying.
Yeah.
If you were a marketer.
If I was a marketer, just saying.
No.
Out of curiosity, since you're the owner, what challenges would you say that female entrepreneurs face in today's day and age?
I think in my industry in particular, we don't have a ton. I mean, it's a women-based industry as far as escrow is concerned. There are a lot less men in our escrow industry, but get this: there's a lot of men who own escrow companies that don't even know anything about escrow.
That's typical, isn't it?
In this, yeah. So, I haven't had any bad things, because I'm a woman or anything like that. Especially because escrow industry is just majority of them are women, even though majority of the women that work for men that own the company. Heather,
so tell me what we could expect from you and your company moving forward, like 2019.
I think you could expect to see me and the girls out there a lot more, interacting with the agents, and a lot of education. We do a lot of that throughout the year, because we want to better ourselves and we want to better facilitate the clients and the agents. We want to make sure that everything's as smooth as possible. You guys have enough to worry about. You don't need to worry about did escrow do their job. So we're just going to keep going, working harder, and educate ourselves as much as possible.
Do you host events where you bring like a group of realtors in just to be able to educate them on like things to look out for?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Where are you located?
We're in Riverside, close to the plaza, which has, it's a nice brand new plaza with plenty of restaurants, and we're walking distance to there and close to the freeway.
Awesome. I don't know.
What's something about you that most people would be surprised about?
Ooh, I don't know. Let's see. Oh, I ride a Harley.
What?
Not a lot of people know that. Yeah, I ride a Harley.
Chaps?
Yeah. Well, I used to. I think I got, like, at first when I got into it, because I think I got my motorcycle license in like 2000. So at first I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear my chaps and I'm gonna, and then eventually I was like, I just want to ride, So it's something a lot of people don't know about me. Some of the agents that have known me for a long, long time, they know.
That's crazy.
So when you roll up, do you ever roll up in your Harley to like the office or a office, like say on a Friday?
So in my younger days, I used to, yes. So back in the day, I worked at a Prudential office in the escrow department for traditional escrow. And
I remember them.
Yeah, and we had casual Fridays, and I would roll up on my Harley, and I would hear all the agents, especially the guys, oh, whose bike is that, this bike? And nobody knew it was mine, so it was kind of funny. But yeah, that's the thing they don't know about me.
Wow, that's super cool. Heather, if somebody would like to get a hold of you, how do they contact you? Where, how do they get a hold of you?
So they call the office, tons of girls in here that can answer the phone and answer any questions. It's 951-530-3333.
Awesome.
Right.
And the name of your company?
Orchard Hill Escrow.
Right on. Well, again, Heather, we really appreciate you coming on the hot seat, the true hot seat, and hope you guys out there got a little bit more insight of who she is, how she runs her business, and if you've got anybody out there that you think that we should bring on or any questions we should ask, let us know. Until next time, we'll see you later. See you guys later. Bye.
Thanks, Heather.
Bye.
Bye.
I want to see the outtakes.